guys, it's Katie from Without a Crystal Ball. Welcome back to my channel. It's Tuesday, November 23rd, and I'm like a couple days late on this story because I just am. And I asked you in my previous video if you wanted to hear about my thoughts about the Turpins, and the resounding response from you was yes. So over the weekend on Friday, ABC, Diane Sawyer, released a new interview with two Turpins that escaped their parents back in 2018. This was the first time the girls, Jennifer and Jordan, had ever spoken on camera, and to date, the only time any of them have done an interview regarding what happened to them back in 2018. I did some videos maybe back in the day, and I know for sure I wrote about this situation because it involved Louise and David Turpin, two fanatics of the Bible that decided that they were going to have as many children as physically possible. They did the whole quiverful idea, and they decided that they would just have as many kids as God gave them. And as they added more and more kids, they apparently became less and less interested in actually being parents, and their lives became a absolute, complete and utter nightmare for the kids. It all started back in January of 2018 when we were introduced to them after Jordan Turpin, 17 at the time, escaped out of a window at her parents' house and called for help. This was the first time she had been outside. She had never spoken to someone on the phone. She had never called anyone, ever. Her parents did not allow her to have access with the outside world. She had not gone through education. She had the equivalent of a first grade education, and she was 17. She had limited vocabulary. She didn't know basic things like what medication was, what a bruise was. She couldn't even locate her address properly, didn't know whether or not you should stand on the street or on the sidewalk. This was a group of children, 13 of them to be exact, that had been secluded from the world for their entire lives by their parents, and their parents' dark secret was going to be exposed. So in the interview, we saw for the very first time both of them speaking, and they shared their experience. Diane Sawyer's team also shared the body cam footage, which showed a very small Jordan running outside on surveillance camera, and then showing the body cam footage of her interactions with the police. And then we actually see when the police go into the house and how David and Louise respond to all of this. So what's pretty remarkable in all of this is that for some reason, these two were able to keep even their oldest children, who at the time they had 7 kids that were adults, from leaving their house because they denied them basic things in life like education, healthcare. They were not allowed to eat. They were not allowed to do anything. Sometimes they were left chained to beds for months at a time. And Jordan, based on her, she fell in love with Justin Bieber, wild, and learned about the outside world, knew she needed to get help for her family. So what's pretty amazing here is that the 13 kids all survived, and David and Louise Turpin are now in prison for life, and they actually ended up pleading guilty. We, the public, never got to see the kids. We only got to hear bits and pieces of them at the sentencing. So I don't know if you watched the sentencing back in 2019, I think it was. I know I did. And the voices of the kids were so small, they were full grown adults, 30 years old. Their oldest daughter, Jennifer, was 30 at the time, and she sounded like a child. And today, it's been 4 years since they've left, and things are apparently not going very well for the Turpins. I was actually really shocked by this because for years, the attorneys have been telling the public that they're thriving, that they're doing really well, they're going to college, they're living independently, they're accessing all kinds of resources, and the public actually raised $600,000 for them when everything came out, because the public was so outraged. They wanted to help the Turpins. They wanted to help the adults live independently. They wanted to do whatever they could. And some of the issues that they came up against is that the kids had zero education, no skills, no fear of the world. And many of them, because of starvation, had been cognitively affected. In the interview, they talk about, what happened growing up, what they experienced, and it was pretty, I don't know how I missed this part, but they were apparently abandoned by their parents for like 4 years. While they were in Texas, David and Louise Turpin decided they were going to get an apartment in another part of town, like 45 minutes away. They took their 2 youngest kids with them, and then they left the rest of the kids at this house, where the first house they ended up having to move out of because it got so trashed. And they brought in a double wide, and then the double wide, the oldest kids had to supervise the youngest kids, and David would once a week drop off groceries, which apparently resulted in them not getting enough food. Once the daughter, Jennifer, fled, they ended up leaving Texas and they moved to California. And on the heels of ready to move from California to Oklahoma, that's when Jordan made the escape and saved her siblings. So what I actually find really horrible about this situation is that as the public, we were told over and over and over again that the kids were doing well, that they were thriving, that they had services. We were told that they were going to community college, that they were learning skills, that they had a really amazing care team. Like, these were the things that were put out by Riverside County and by the attorneys connected to the family. The girls say it was completely opposite of that, and apparently have lived without anything. Jordan, for a while, was homeless. They've couch surfed. Some of them have not been able to eat. They've gone to soup kitchens into the churches because they have no food. Their $600,000 that was raised and donated by the public has been locked into a trust that apparently no one can access. And their public guardian, a woman named Vanessa Espinoza, was literally not approving legitimate costs, legitimate things like a bike for the oldest son, Joshua. So there's this money locked that they cannot access. They are living in undesirable neighborhoods, and they are in conservatorships. So this was a set, again, not something I was familiar with, but because of their cognitive skills and their lack of just life experience, they're having to catch up with everything. Think of it in this way. Jennifer's 33 years old, like literally, and she's just like catching up with life now. She was 29 when she was freed. And they have to learn the basics of everything. They have to get educated. They have to learn how to cross the street. They have to learn proper etiquette. They have to learn how to buy things. They have to learn how to manage money. They have to learn social cues. They have to learn words. They have to learn vocabulary, because they also revealed that their moms and dad never educated them. So none of them were educated at all by mom and dad. And today, the city of Riverside has not been apparently granting them access to their trust fund. And apparently the guardian has been less than helpful in helping these kids learn the life skills in which they need. So the overwhelming response by the public has been, what the hell happened here? How is that these kids can go from a horrible situation with their parents and then be thrown into a public system which has completely failed them? One of the girls apparently was SA'd, and there was actually a court case that happened in Riverside. Another one was in a foster home, where the foster parent told her that, I understand why now your parents chained you up. The youngest children were actually in a home for years with parents that are now facing allegations and charges of abuse, and were also victims of that family. So to think about this, that the kids are rescued, they're brought into foster care, we're told by the public that they have all of these resources for the kids, that there's all this money that's going to help them, all these people that were going to donate time, money, effort, anything, and none of that went to help them. The money is just sitting locked up. They can't access it. They're not getting the help that they need from their guardians. The new person, the guardian, was actually terminated. And Riverside is responding, and they're claiming they're going to be doing an investigation. And after everything came out with 2020, this is what they said. Without exception, the focus of the County of Riverside is on improving the lives of those we serve. We are committed to protecting the safety, health, and welfare of the most vulnerable in our community and to safeguard them from harm and exploitation. While our dedicated staff work tirelessly every day to accomplish that mission, there has been instances in which those we seek to protect have been harmed. We will support, with full support from the Board of Supervisors. My office is now working with new leadership within the county to build on efforts to progressively transform the county's child welfare and dependent adult systems. Steps already taken by county staff in the last 18 months include, but are not limited to, reduce caseloads by increasing the number of staff, resulting in improved quality and timeliness of work, improved training to align responsibilities, clarify policies, and implement new processes, funded an integrated service delivery model to improve coordination and collaboration across multiple departments that provide safety net services, established quality control and auditing units to conduct continuous review and provide real-life critical analysis and response, and partnered with well-respected community organizations to improve internal systems for better outcomes. And our commitment to improve the system is evidenced by the work we've done so far, which they didn't really say what they've done. And it's weird because it's like they make this whole statement and then it's like specifically as it relates to the allegations regarding the care, services, and placement provided by the 13 Turpin siblings by Riverside County departments, the county executive office engaged Larson LLP, a law firm led by former U.S. District Judge Stephen Larson, to conduct an independent, comprehensive investigation. The investigation has two objectives: analyze the services provided to the 6 minor children and 7 adult children, and to assess the quality of care provided. In addition, the examination will review the various departmental programs to assess the level of care, attention, and services to provide to children and dependent adults upon the program's care and supervision. The inquiry will culminate in a comprehensive report from Larson LLP with recommendations to the county by March 31st, 2022, and will serve as the foundation for action to implement policy and program reforms within Riverside County as necessary. The County of Riverside is committed to conducting a thorough and transparent review of these services, which, you guys, so they didn't address the fact that they didn't get their money. They didn't address the fact that these kids are like floundering out in a system where nobody's watching what they're doing. You have dependent children that have guardians but are living independently, which is really wild to me. I don't know if you know anything about conservatorships, but a lot of times with conservatorships, adults are generally placed in a home with someone that can help them manage their lives. Now, some of the girls are actually doing well. Apparently, Jennifer, the oldest, was on Good Morning America yesterday and said she recently got a car. She has her own apartment and she has a cute little cat. And Jordan is now got a place with help of her school, not with Riverside, and is on food stamps with help of her school, not from Riverside. And she's healing from what happened to her at her previous house or previous home. I find it weird that they're going to do an independent investigation that will culminate in 5 months from now. How does that immediately help them today? How does that immediately help the kids that are already floundering? How does that immediately help and bring resources and help to the kids? And how does that address this money? What happened to the money? Why is it just sitting there? Why can't they access it? It's sitting in a living trust and nobody can get granted access to it. It sounds like, in a lot of ways, you know, the conservatorship that Britney Spears was under, it reminds me of this, but worse, because these are kids that have absolutely no abilities. They don't have, these are people that have like kids that have no social skills. They have no life skills. And you're just gonna like throw them out. And then when they contact their guardian, they say, Google it. Okay. So JC Dugard, who was abducted for 18 years, she is dedicated to helping them as well. And she has a foundation to help individuals that have gone through experiences like her. And she has set up her own fund to help the families and to help the kids. So in partnership with ABC, Dugard's corporate nonprofit is going to be raising money to help the Turpins. So if you'd like to help the Turpins, you can follow that link to her foundation. And she says all the money is going to go to them, less PayPal fees. And they have an integrative program there that help with therapy and helping families in transition that have gone through really bad things like the Turpins. And their goal is to try to help them. Outside of that, I'm still wondering where the $600,000 went. And outside of that, why has no one told them that they need to get an attorney? Why has no one told them that they need to use an attorney to access these funds? Or why are they just being left out to dry after everything that their parents put them through? How is it that the basic needs of these people have been completely and utterly ignored? And how are we to believe that Riverside in 5 months is suddenly going to get their acts together to help them? My heart goes out to them. I recently found Jordan and Jennifer on TikTok. They're adorable. And I would suggest you follow them if you want to see what they're up to. They love new followers and they're very appreciative of all of the love. And if you want to help donate, you can donate to the JC Dugard organization. And what are your thoughts about this? Were you as shocked to hear about the fact that Riverside dropped the ball? What do you think about their special investigation? Do you think it's going to change anything? And do you think that things will get better for them or not? Tell me in the comments below. Bye, guys.